Okay, so this week we're gonna look at injections. If you remember the OWASP top 10 from last week, the top ranked place, A1, was injections. Now, injection is a very broad term. A lot of points from this list could be considered injections, which is why we're gonna dedicate an entire week to only injections in various different ways. So, what leads to injections? Well, as I said, I did an apprenticeship as a Fachinformatiker, and what you learn there is that every software follows a very simple principle, the IVA principle in German, is Eingabe, Verarbeitung, Ausgabe. That is input, processing, output. And this input here is almost always user input. So an injection vulnerability is when user input is somehow interpreted in a way that makes the program behave differently. That makes the program behave in a way the programmer did not intend. So here's a simple PHP example. Here we have a code snippet where the user can upload a file, an avatar, a profile picture, and this file can be uploaded in any kind of image format. But because our website wants to use PNG format, it will convert the uploaded picture into a PNG file. Now, we don't want to implement that ourselves. We want to support as many file formats for upload as possible, but we don't want to write code to convert all these formats into PNG. So what a lot of developers would do is they would call a subprogram, for example, convert. Convert is a command line utility called ImageMagick that is able to convert incredibly many image formats into one another. So in this case, we're just taking the uploaded file in whatever format. We call a sub process with exec. It's a function that calls a command line program. We call the convert program, and as parameters we take the uploaded file. It's a temporary file name that PHP creates for us, and then a space, and then the target, which is this path with the username .png. Now maybe take a minute and think about how user input could affect this program. Well, assuming we can choose our own username via registering, what happens if we, for example, choose a username called xx:/rmrf/? Well, exec calls a command line program. So the call would look like convert, temporary file name, space, xx:/rmrf/. Now, the semicolon here terminates a program call on the command line. So everything behind the semicolon is considered a new command by the shell that is being used. So what would happen is that convert would convert the uploaded file to a file name called xx, and then afterwards this command would be executed on the command line on the server, which deletes all the files in the file system that the user has access to, which is obviously something the programmer of this code snippet did not intend. You wanted to have an easy way to convert images, not an easy way for you to delete files off the file system. So, injections, there was an example now for a command injection that we will be looking in more detail in the next segment. Injections always occur where data is mixed with code. That means where data is mixed, where user input is mixed with code. Now, why would you want to do that? Why would you ever mix data with code? Well, it's about the interfaces. Usually, if you're working on a software project, you have all different kinds of systems in place, different kinds of technologies. For example, you want to access your data with SQL, or you fetch user information via LDAP, you send emails via a protocol called SMTP. Maybe you call sub-processes, as we have seen now. So with these interfaces, you submit your code as data in your program, as we have seen here. This here is data. This is the string, the convert, whatever. This is data, but by submitting it to the command line via the exec function, it has become code. So that's where injection vulnerabilities occur. Another point, just as a side note, modern computers always follow the von Neumann architecture. And this architecture has one architectural design pattern, is that code and data are in the same memory. So with our computers, it's inherent in the architecture that code and data are mixed. That will have consequences that you will see later in the binary exploitation part of the lecture, when Martin tells you about buffer overflows and heap exploitation.